Yo, what up, welcome back to Reviews with Jake, where I just got done watching Earwig and the Witch. Earwig and the Witch is the new Studio Ghibli film about an orphan who gets adopted by a witch. She then enters a world of mystery and magic, which she is desperate to learn more about. This is me diversifying my review portfolio. I mean, it's not completely out of left field. I mean, I've dabbled with anime throughout various portions of my life. When I was a little kid after school, I would literally run my ass home from the bus stop in order to catch the new episode of DBZ on Cartoon Network. I collected Pokemon cards, and I literally played Pokemon Go until quarantine. But the most relevant of which is that I've seen and enjoyed some, certainly not all, Studio Ghibli films. The three that I've seen are probably among the most notable: Spirited Away, Howl's Moving Castle, and Princess Mononoke. And for what I've seen, based on my very limited exposure to the studio, they make some damn good films. They're always filled with fantastical creatures and characters, beautiful landscapes, awesome, intriguing worlds, very interesting and wildly entertaining themes. I was first shown Princess Mononoke when I was a kid, and I really enjoyed the fact that it's a cartoon with very adult themes. When Ashitaka fires an arrow at someone's neck and his head goes flying off like a freaking wiffle ball, I mean, what's not to like about that? One of my biggest draws to subscribing for HBO Max was not only the fact that they're going to be dropping new movies throughout this year, but the fact that they have a very great, vast collection of Studio Ghibli films, and I want to watch more. So, why not start here with the latest one to get dropped in the United States? As far as pros go, for starters, this movie had a very great soundtrack. Very different, but I enjoyed it all the same. Now, as mentioned previously, I have only seen 3 Studio Ghibli films, but from what I can tell, the 3 that I've seen, they had a theme to them, a very similar vibe. They were all much more of a pleasant, tranquil soundtrack that seems like it should be in the background of a very pleasant dream. It was Studio Ghibli that I immediately thought of the first time I played Breath of the Wild through and explored the vast openness of Hyrule. I mean, it just had like a strange relaxation to it. But this soundtrack, nothing like that. It was all over the place, and I kinda dug it. It had some rock numbers, some very lively guitar riffs, all the way to some accordion incorporation. I mean, it kinda had a little bit of everything. It reminded me of kinda like the House on the Rock, if you've ever been to that amazing place in Wisconsin I've probably mentioned before. It had a sort of strangeness to it, but it was always fresh. The energy levels were always high. My other pro was that this movie, as expected, had some very intriguing characters. From the magic and power levels that some of the characters had, to their dynamics and relationships to each other, to their motivations, their habits. I mean, I was intrigued from start to finish to see where they were taking these characters. I was never bored in this movie. I was maybe a little impatient, maybe a little antsy here and there, but all in all, I really felt like I was fully engaged. I was fully committed to see which direction they were going. I mean, it could just be a prior formulated trust that I have with this studio and their films. They always have very intriguing characters, and they always have very grand plans for them. However, this does lead right to the cons, because these plans that I was waiting for these characters never really came to fruition, at least not fully. I mean, don't get me wrong, I think they were getting there, they were close, they were scratching at it, but it didn't just quite get there. The problem is this movie is short, very short. According to HBO Max, it's an hour and 22 minutes, and to me, I feel like they didn't use that time as appropriately as they could have. I don't think I would call it pacing issues. I think that it had a great flow to it. It had the intrigue building at a nice systematic pace, but I just don't think that it fully got to where it needed to be by the end of an hour and 22 minutes. This is kind of a difficult one to tiptoe around because of spoilers, among the most difficult. An accurate comparison that I could draw is Artemis Fowl last year. That entire movie felt like the first, maybe the second act of a movie that may be worth watching. But the problem is, once it got to that point, it just kind of ended right on the precipice of where we wanted to be. Similarly, at the end of this movie, this very, very short runtime, I just felt unfulfilled. I also found this movie disappointingly limited and confining. I mean, I'm used to Studio Ghibli films to take me to vast, magical, open worlds, places that I've never seen before. I mean, don't get me wrong, the witch's house is a very intriguing house as far as houses go, but I'm just used to going to very magical places, and this studio usually takes me there. And this kind of leads to the most obvious and most low-hanging con of them all, the animation style. This is the first Studio Ghibli film that is all done computer-generated animation versus the hand-drawn animations that they've done beautifully in the past. Look, I am all for people, places, businesses, everything, and Studio Ghibli trying something new. I think that that's how you see true progress. It may be a hard pill for a lot of people to swallow, but I think that it's important. But if you just look at the sheer quality of the computer-generated animations and graphics in this movie and compare them to like Pixar, Onward, and whatnot, these amazingly beautiful, all computer-generated films, this just doesn't hold a candle to it. It feels so much worse than what is possible today. It'd be one thing if it was well done, well executed, then maybe it's less of a con, but it wasn't. It felt outdated. So in essence, they traded beautiful, unmatchable hand-drawn animation for expired computer-generated animation that looks like it belonged 10 years ago at least. I mean, if you put this movie next to like Shrek 20 years ago, it would be a coin toss on whose was better. I mean, maybe it's a little dramatic, but I'm just making a point here. All in all, unless they announce that there is a sequel, an opportunity to dive deeper into this movie and story that we did not get here, then I think it's a hard pass. I'm going to give Earwig and the Witch a D+. But that's just me. What do you guys think? Let me know if you agree or disagree in the comments below. And make sure you subscribe to this channel to stay up to date with new reviews coming real soon. Stay safe, thanks for checking in.